All right, how's everybody? Day 224, went on vacation and didn't miss a beat. I like that. We're here at 365 days towards racial change, moving right along. Had a nice extended time in Uncle Tom's cabin. Left on a kind of sad note. A lot of death. Everything went down and down. Well, let's see if in the upcoming weeks and days to come, we see if things get better. It really challenges, really pulls on the heartstrings a little bit. Little Eva, St. Clare, Prue's baby. Yeah, not a whole lot of good. Those things that happen, you know, have were caused directly or indirectly, I believe, by this institution of slavery. We'll see where Harriet's going to go with that in a bit. We're going to get back right now to some of our uh, more historical context of the reason why we're here. We like to mix it around. We did story time in light of my vacation and respite. I'll let you know, it was great. Went to DC to the African American Museum. 2 days. It's pretty easy to get in now. The rush is over, so you can get in after 1 o'clock. You're almost guaranteed to get in. And spent time down there. Humidity was terrible. I live in a dry area now. What a difference. Can't believe I grew up in that soup. Then I went up to my mom's in another humid area, but it was nice. Hummingbirds like almost come right up to you, and that's almost disorienting to see that creature, just its body. You can't see its wings because it's flapping so fast and stuff. Oh, a lot of good stuff. Walk barefoot in the grass. Oh yeah, yeah. But see the reason why we're here is because that's not a normal experience for me, and I'm guessing it's not a normal experience for Black Americans. I remember growing up in school, seeing my classmates occasionally, only the white ones, occasionally, and by far not the majority, but almost in every class, this kid would take off for a week or so. They went on vacation. I'm like, wow, every year. Yeah. So let's get to the point where Black people are experiencing that, and not because the level is raised and white people are still up top and stuff. I'm noticing that about uh, life in America and whatnot. Like me, you know, see, back in slavery days, I'd have a dirt floor. I'd scratch symbols on my wall to make videos and stuff. Because Massa lived in a house and probably had a slave that fanned him manually, you know, and he had a picture camera and stuff, right? And see, as the standard of living goes up, we think we're progressing, but we're not eye to eye competing. That's a whole different dynamic. That's what I'm after. Let's compete equally in this thing. Long way to go. So I'm sitting here. I got electricity, fans blowing, electric, and I can go about, but I'm still locked in to a certain space because the majority of white America is over me, pulling the strings, dictating financial, economic policy, social policy. I don't compete, have much say in that, you know. So I don't want uh, Black people, yeah, and going on vacation every week. All Black people, right? But all the white people going to Mars, Jupiter, visiting asteroids. You see the difference that I'm talking about? I hope you get that. That was free. Now let's get back to some serious stuff. We're here talking about Black issues. I'm concerned about the Black mind's perception. Just in light of that, what we just talked about a minute ago. Snap out of thinking that we're doing so well. Black skin is a social detriment to us. You know, it, we are recipients of an institutionalized paradigm, very hard to break. We can't be fooled thinking that we're competing. Conversely, for the white mind, that doesn't understand its privilege, uh, its favor in the land, in America. You know, I go on vacation once every 5 years. They go on vacation, go away every weekend, right? I go on vacation every year. They take trips around the moon every couple of years. Do they understand their position? You know, are they ignorant? Or are they aware that their skin color gives them this access and privilege? Let's see. There's that. So the mind of America. Keep that going. Remember, hashtag us too symbol. We want to remember black women and their struggles. There are certain differences here in America that they deal with. Check out Black Enough, BLAGGENUF. Find the Black Facebook experience. Plenty of social sites. If you can't find your flavor here on the World Wide Web, do what I did. Start your own. Go for it. Um, you will. Uh, you'll find your flavor. If you can't, do what I did. Start your own. I'm inspired by a man. We're going to be getting back into this work next couple days. Dr. Claude Anderson. I read 3 of his works. First work I read, we're going to spend the next handful of days in this book, A Black History Reader, from Dr. Claude Anderson. And so if you have that book, that's where we're going to be at for the next couple of days. Black Labor, White Wealth, Search for Power and Economic Justice. And he also wrote Powernomics, Dr. Anderson's National Plan to Empower Black America. You can find Dr. Anderson at powernomics.com. And also, we just got done Uncle Tom's, more of Uncle Tom's Cabin. We're about halfway through this, but get this book. I've got 2 subscribers that I know bought this book. It sounds like a little pamphlet, footnotes and stuff. It's a novel. You want to get that book. It'll really illustrate, where we are, why we are here today. I don't know. I haven't done my introduction in a while, so that's probably all over the place, but we'll get our groove back very soon, I'm sure. Black History Reader, 101 questions you never thought to ask. I want to read 2 paragraphs from you here out of this book. This is Dr. Anderson. Within a nation that perceives itself as the world's greatest superpower, worldwide police force, and a home for all immigrants seeking the so-called American dream, Black Americans are forgotten people who remain an impoverished outgroup and an abandoned labor class. After nearly 500 years of institutionalized slavery, Jim Crow, semi-slavery, public policies of benign neglect and political correctness, blacks are consigned to the lowest level of this nation's ranking order of social acceptability. In this book, I try to answer the question why. In coming to an understanding of the fixed position of Black America at the bottom of the well, we must first come to terms with what has changed and what has not changed in race matters, especially in urban areas, immigration, economics, and other aspects of policy in the United States. The internal strength of the country is connected to the fate of blacks, a significant population group within the country. There are mutual benefits for mainstream society and Black Americans to fully understand the nature of the Black dilemma. Although race is an uncomfortable and almost taboo topic, For those who truly want black people to be self-sufficient, be a self-sufficient group within American society, race must be examined. But any examination must be based on understanding of history and facts. In all my books, Dr. Anderson's books, my goal has been to clarify the issue of race for the purpose of corrective action. He's writing this to bring some positive change. This is also the case in this book about a black history reader. I just want to get those two paragraphs out. Important because they're printed. I gave the printed version to my email subscribers. I wanted to have this on record, so we're kind of starting off on the same page. Get it? You like that trick? All right. It's important just to know my motivation, the motivation of this year-long work. I can give you definitely a year's worth of boo-hoo and moan and complain about my experience in America. But you know it, and I know it already. No matter who you are, you know the black experience is challenged in America. Well, but there's historical roots to this thing. Um, Coming up in the next couple of days, we'll look at the Constitution. Took my time. I parsed out sections of James Madison's notes because this was a big issue. This is a big topic, right? Big topic. They figured out how to camouflage it, cover it up in the Constitution, and then they went forward. Big stuff. So that'll be next couple days. But this is just a just broad overview, get our minds, in my mind, probably better because I've been off for more than a week, back on pace. I'm going back to school, all this stuff. So this is more personal for me, trying to get my juices flowing, get back on topic and back on task. Um, so 500 years, right? That's not a exaggeration to any degree. We're looking at Uncle Tom's Cabin. Think about some of your former media roots. Amistad. I think 12 Years a Slave. I've never seen that, but I hear that touches on important points of slavery. These tales, these dramas, just to keep us in mind, keep us in remembrance of this. Look, the Jews do it right, right? They keep, I'm seeing, you can, I don't know, have the access now, but you can find plenty of World War II footage, documentaries, anything about World War II is going to have usually normally a piece about the Jewish Holocaust. That's very important to keep that in mind because if we put that, say we put that behind us and we're doing all this stuff and that genocide has ended and stuff. No. We still got genocide going on in a lot of ways today. The countries in Africa still chasing down, finding reason. And that's strange because they're black, but let me try to stay on point. We still have genocide. It's problematic when you look at Russia Africa, because they're all black, but they've still found the reason to kill off. They, they can discern between groups right out there, so that's a problem. But you got to keep history in mind. Keep slavery in mind. We keep seeing the system of management going on, but we never come to the cure. We never get it behind us that the issue is chronic. It's because, like I said, you make all men, all humans equal. Make us clear as glass. For some reason, we want to find some reason that to single out a group, hate that group, and apply some pejorative measures against them. All right. So we need this project, I believe. We need to keep hearing about the Jewish Holocaust, Native American issues, and just about everybody you can think of has come under the abusive thumb of some group in the world. It's something about mankind, and it refuses to die. America's reeling, and we keep having these mass shootings. Well, you know, I don't have the evidence. I've not done a study, but there's something in man that's murderous and needs expression. You know, and the society has not accounted for that. Therefore, we get mass shootings, surprise attacks on our own soil. The only country in the world with that level of violence going on, where we're supposed to present having so much, but no, slavery allows us, and this I'm going to say this kind of some black people might not like this, but black folks enabled white America's behavior over those hundreds of years in submitting to that. I don't know what I would have done in the same space, being the same color, you know. But hindsight's 2020. So black folks, you wonder why didn't black folks get out from under? You know, the Native Americans chose to be killed off. Some blacks fought. We're going to look at that, and some of the Floridians and the history down there. So there's some responsibility, enough responsibility to go around. I'm just putting down doing some groundwork, some foundational work about how we got here. There's a time element, hundreds of years. This wasn't a month of uh, challenge life for blacks, a decade or so. This is centuries. So there's a whole lot to go through. The Jim Crow, semi-slavery things, at the African American Museum, find the Angola exhibit. I like that exhibit because it's structured in a way that there's a Angola sign, but it hangs down, so you have to literally go in to the space to see what's going on. And they've got it's a metal bunk bed, I guess toilet water system. you know, you know, it's small. I don't think I would be able to even stretch out if it's 6 feet deep. I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised. And the Jim Crow is like, as the institution freed the slaves, it was a process. They didn't just let them out. I hope you picked up while we were looking at Uncle Tom's Cabin is Harriet Beecher Stowe. She's implying some very serious issues because she's talking about, she's obviously had been having some conversation as she's talking about this life. She did hers. Uncle Tom's Cabin came out just a lot like these videos, an article at a time in an abolitionist paper. And as she got going, as she got discussions around the subject going, I'm sure the discussion came up, okay, let's let the slaves go, but you can't just let the slaves go because they're uneducated, they don't have a social structure, they're not part of the system in a competitive sense. right? So she implies some of that. She weaves it in. You got to catch that, you know. So, Angola down in Louisiana, the prison down in Louisiana, and you know, prison systems, workhouses, gangs, welfare systems. That's what the white institution reaped as they let them go. It's sad they didn't just pull the chain and let you know let the slaves out, because up here they're still slaves, and the whole social structure can only handle black people as slaves. Now there's a lot of them and stuff. So there's this whole welfare state that had to be addressed. Jim Crow, very very sad, but there's portions of it, if you understand the argument history, that are necessary. You know, the white the white people should have just created schools and made a proper context, a humane context for uh, making black people competitive in the society. They didn't do that. They wanted to stay in control of power. It's easier just to imprison them and force them to work. Freedom, but kept them locked in. This is what part of what we're talking about. Um, Run that up to benign neglect. Uh, I think his name was Moynihan under President Nixon. His time to exercise some benign neglect. This is about 1969, heading into the 70s. 60s was bloody, racial. Dr. Martin Luther King on the Washington Mall and all this stuff. What they were getting at. So he says, well, let's have some benign neglect, harmless apathy towards this black issue. They're coming along, and we'll just get beyond it. And it assuaged the minds of white power, but it still left black people in their predicament, because the 60s, the black people were really moving on, but then political rhetoric, and stuff like that, fatigue, attrition, made this continued fight just too much of a challenge. It just wasn't sustainable the way it was configured. New language was being introduced, inclusion, diversion, colorblind, people of color, immigrants, things like that, steered black people away from the goal, the prize, which to me would have been equal competition, some favor, sustained programs based on color, things like that. We looked at this benign neglect, as a reflection. Also, even 10 years before benign neglect, 100 years or so after Harriet Beecher Stowe's work, and you remember we talked about Topsy, black self-hatred, where we talked about the doll test, 1959. The Clarks did the doll test, black doll, white doll, exposed black children, and got some interesting material from those studies. They were out to prove black self-hatred and that condition beginning in black children. I think it was verified. I mean, I think it's already known. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote about it in Topsy's experience in Uncle Tom's Cabin. They had the Clarks do the doll test in 1959, and we might see that still today because, even my experience was like, man, as a grown up, as a kid, and I still see it today. I find it in myself like, why is that skin color doing so well? and I'm all screwed up, and it seems fixed. Okay, all right, I want to walk, I want to participate as they do, and I'm hitting walls, barriers, resistance, and stuff. Incredible. So that we talked about some of that so far. Political correctness. Remember terms: inclusion, diversion, colorblind, people of color, immigrants. Oh, if you look at our, our our important documents for this nation, unhappy lots, um, those in service or servitude. So some of that language that disguises references to black folks, that can come under our political correctness rhetoric, and how that has diluted all kinds of energy and attention away from black people doing better, getting up and participating properly, equally in America. And like I said, everybody's got their cross to bear. LGBTQ, ICE just had multiple raids, and you got children crying, for the Hispanic people that are here illegally. And it's interesting. A CNN reporter asked a representative, I guess, of ICE, how come businesses haven't been penalized, charged? None of them, right? That's across the board. It's systemic. And the guy didn't answer the question, but the question is, see, in America, when we apply for a job, what do they ask for? Identification, social security card. You got to have two pieces of valid identification to get the job. That's at least my understanding. I have to give it up, you know. But I see it in my workplace too. People, papers not quite right and stuff like that and stuff. And we don't. You notice we don't have any measures against companies that are receiving these individuals for being out of pocket and not having their paperwork correct. So that's a problem. And these immigrants that are being sent back need to get with that. Blacks need to understand their fixity, in the system. We gotta expend a whole lot of time and energy to get to a space where we appear, make a splash on the media or something like that. You ever notice that? It takes a long time. Like I'm about to have my breakthrough. I know it. I'm really confident about that. But look how long it's taken. This used to be black. It's gray. I'm going to get there. If you have a biblical mind, you got to think about Abraham, Moses, Joshua, Caleb. These guys. I'm sure there's women, Sarah, Abraham's wife. These guys, they get their rewards in their 90s, in their hundreds. So that might be the cross I'm bearing in this world. Don't let me start proselytizing here. Oh, you know, compounded with my blackness, I'm running into age barriers. My body's starting to say, "Hey, you can't do this manual stuff. You're on the other side of that. You're not in your mid-20s throwing stuff around anymore. You gotta start thinking, work smarter, not harder." So that's a problem, and for black folks too, right? I see my white management kicking back, noodling here and there, screwing off when everything's going all right on the floor. I get it. Um, I feel like some of these groups feel like, oh, I enjoy working myself to the bone with get developing tendonitis and arthritis. No, something has changed anyway. I'm in a whole new category now. Uh, so as we go forward, we have this introduction again, getting our feedback under us. We want to see what the next 140 so days is going to bring us here. Want to be in a Black History Reader for the next couple days. Sorry I was scattered a little all over the place, but I'm trying to get myself, my mind, back into racial change mode here as we make this run to the finish line. I'm determined, baby. We're going to do it together. We'll make it happen. So come back tomorrow. We're going to get back into more focus here. Just wanted to lay out the problem again as I see it, as Dr. Anderson may agree. Out of time, don't want to hold you hostage. I'm just noticing I wore the wrong hat. But I'm Tomlin's Nyback. That's day 224 out of the way. 365 days towards racial change. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.